The draft has came and gone. A.J. Brown is still with the Philadelphia Eagles. He has showed up to mini camp, voluntary activities, voluntary workout, what I'm hearing, things like that. So A.J. Brown, you know, what is going on? And to me, it feels like the majority of Eagles Nation feel like A.J. Brown is the problem and pretty much overstayed his welcome. Unless he goes out there and from game one has 100+ yards every game, it feels like he's overstayed his welcome because the routine, the pattern, the data is there. What to expect from A.J. Brown when he isn't getting the football? Pretty much any receiver. But we see A.J. Brown has his way of doing things. But one thing I will say, one thing how we can sense is essentially when a player is at the end of his prime and knows, and how he knows exactly when it's time to deal or make a deal for one of his top players and be compensated properly, market value. It's one thing Howie understands as a general manager in the NFL. People may still see A.J. Brown as one of the top number one receivers in the league. And most of that comes from the name. When people hear a name, they automatically put them at the top of the category without even looking at their abilities and how they once was compared to how they are now. If they're still in their prime, can they still move how they used to move? Me, I disagree. I don't think A.J. Brown is still a number one receiver in the NFL. I think he was a year or two ago. But for this upcoming season, I don't see A.J. Brown as a premier number one wide receiver anymore. Now, he still is good and effective, but he is not worth a first-round pick, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Someone can give up a first-round pick, trade from him, he can have 1,500 yards a couple of years in a row. That definitely will make him worth it. But for the Eagles, if they're able to acquire a first-round pick in a trade for A.J. Brown, that is a win all day long, and Howie understands that. No, I don't think A.J. Brown is thrown the best passes from his quarterback. That's the truth. He's not thrown the best, most accurate passes from Jalen Hurts. That's just the truth. But he still figure out a way to use his body and his body control to come up with big plays and make big catches. But as far as A.J. Brown's abilities, agility, and speed, I don't think it's like it once was. It's still elite, I would say. It's still, he still can get it done. But, his game isn't about being fast, having the most agility and speed and things like that. His thing is making big catches and big plays in games, period. Come across the middle, using that big body. Yeah. That's essentially what makes A.J. Brown productive. Now, for the Patriots, for the New England Patriots, they see A.J. Brown as the perfect replacement for Stephon Diggs. Probably an upgrade to replacing Diggs, to be honest. So for the Patriots, I can see A.J. Brown being a much more productive player than Stephon Diggs was if A.J. Brown doesn't go there and create a situation where his energy is bad for the team, But if A.J. Brown was in the same position as Stephon Diggs last season, I can see A.J. Brown being more productive. And we all know the history of Mike Vrabel, head coach Mike Vrabel, and A.J. Brown. We all know the history. So, I think Mike Vrabel really wants to right his wrongs with this young man and make everything right. And the deal hasn't transpired so far. I would have thought the deal would have came to fruition during the draft, but it didn't happen. Now we're talking about June 1st. Maybe the Patriots are backing down because of the asking price. They are not willing to give up a first round pick for AJ Brown anymore. I don't understand why the deal didn't go through so far. That's the only reason I can think of. Because when the Philadelphia Eagles are Eagles news, all the news coming out of the Eagles camp about a trade, about a certain player, you better believe it's true. Now, with all the distractions coming from Mike Vrabel, who knows what's going on with the decision making and things like that. But we'll see, man. At the end of the day, I think AJ Brown will be with the Eagles for another season because no one is willing to give up the asking price that the Patriots is asking. I mean, that the Eagles is asking for. Now, the Patriots are tempted. They're very tempted. We all know that they lost Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs was a veteran mid-level route runner for the New England Patriots. And those players are very important for especially a young quarterback. When third down or you need to move the ball, those players understand how to get open and use the linebacker area and the mid-range area to their advantage. So we'll see where AJ Brown ends up. We'll see how this season pans out. Like I said, I think he's going to remain an Eagle after this season, but you never know.